second into what did I find, right? And this is kind of the interesting idea in that, we've gone through a lot of URLs, we've taken a look at a lot of data, we've taken a look at a lot of dates from 2004 to 2012. We've looked at the data across the board for that 12-year period. And when we go through this, Urban and Coulter looked through 2006, Sang looked through 2013, the end of 2013. And they saw this nice organic growth curve that we see here in terms of the number of entries per date, the number of URLs per date, and then the average number of notes, average number of URLs per DMCA notice by date. But because we dropped off at the end of 2013 and we dropped off at the end of 2006, one of the things that was missed is that big drop off the first half of 2015, and I think we're going to get another big drop off here as I go further into 2017, because there's just not a lot of the database left to go through. There's only like about another 500 entries in there for a 9-month period. That's not enough. When you're burning through 300-400 entries a month, having 500 left to go, we're going to see a big drop off as we kind of come through here. But I wanted to talk about this second set, and that is how the entries and the URLs distribute. We've had a lot of information come through on the system and on the way that I processed it and how the code was written in terms of just counting and organizing by date and all the rest of it. And what's kind of fascinating is you really do end up with these nice little peaks and valleys. What Sang and Urban and Coulter saw makes sense early on. So we're able to validate what Urban and Coulter and Sang saw. What we're seeing now, though, is these big, huge drop-offs in 2015, and I think we're going to see another one here in 2017 when I get done, in terms of how many issues were labeled or how many notes were issued for certain set keywords. And again, pirate or BitTorrent or Tor or Onion or all the rest of it. A lot of this data doesn't really make a lot of sense in terms of what they're doing unless there's some kind of significant event outside going on. So I have no idea what was going on in 2015. I got no idea what happened at the early part of 2017, but you can kind of see that drop off happen in terms of how it works. So curiosity is going to abound, so I'm going to have to go through popular press and all the rest of it. But it's kind of interesting. We seem to have hit a hard limit of how many things I can do in a certain month, how much I'm going to play the game of whack-a-mole. And whether that's disinterest, whether that's something going on like torrents or kick-ass torrents or something else being shut down, whether they thought that the immediate nightmare is over with, I don't know. But the cool part is that we seem to have really hit just this hard homeostatic limit of around 1.5 million URLs a month on the data reduction scheme. This is all data reduced. This is all reduced by 19 times, just so that the URLs and the graphics make sense. Otherwise they don't. They're just all sorts of just mess across the board because the numbers are too big to comprehend. We can understand 1.5 million, but we have a really hard time comprehending 30 or 40 million URLs in a given month. So that's why we did the 19 times data reduction. But it is just kind of interesting that we do see those same growth curves. We see that big spurt towards the end of 2015. But the interesting part is that the average number of URLs per DMCA notice pretty much so stays pretty static at around 4,000, somewhere in there. We'll have little peaks and valleys, but once you smooth it out, it looks like it's around 4,000 URLs per note. And that's a lot of URLs, but it's not a lot of URLs. So it's a lot of things to do, but in an automated system, it's not that much for how it goes. But kind of, and again, just as a side note, it's an interesting little chunk of data that goes along with this whole process, in that we seem to have kind of hit this level. We kind of know where we're at in terms of what these averages look like and how they look and how they react in terms of how much data is coming through Google. And again, just because it's going to Google does not mean that it's going to the website, or if it's going to the website's actually going to act on it. So again, just kind of one of those neat little kind of data statistically things. And the good part, though, is I'm able to validate the previous research, and I'm really hoping that as we go through and we take a look at all these keywords and all the rest of it, that the person who comes along behind me, look for the keyword pirate and tell me if you are able to match my data drops in 2015.